Hi, Matt. Great to talk to you. So I'm speaking today to Matt Nelson from DigiDynamic, and going to talk about his business and his journey in business and life. So thank you very much for having this conversation with me, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
So Matt, yeah, can you just give us some background about yourself and the business, and how long you've been in business, when did you start, and then we can take the conversation from there.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah, so DigiDynamic has been going for 15 years. We started in 2005. I started with two partners. We back in Santon. Yeah, since then, one of my partners is retired. The other partner's gone overseas. So Digi is completely mine now. And yeah, it's a printing company, a print and media company. And I mean, we were doing spectacularly well, and then then COVID hit, and then we've had to kind of reinvent ourselves and the industry, I suppose, in the last couple of months. It's been tumultuous, but it's been different.
Yes, absolutely. We will get to that. I first want to let's say just take a little bit back before let's say 2020, when COVID came and actually affected the whole world, and realized that that uncertainty and how you deal with uncertainty. So I'm sure we will share some ideas regarding that. You and I have been working together, I think now for about 3 years. I think so. I want you to think back. Can you tell us what you and your business was like before coaching started?
Look, Digi's always done okay. I mean, I would say we were probably plodding along, and we were battling to sort of break ceilings. So there were turnover milestones that I was really battling to sort of break. And I think at that point was when you guys from Action Coach contacted me and said, would coaching be something that you would be looking at? I mean, in the past, years in that I've always been looking for a mentor / coach. I just haven't known, how to go about it, or, what sort of criteria to look for, etc. So at that stage, I mean, it was almost like perfect timing that it was time for me to engage with a coach. And 3 years ago we started together, and I mean, if I look at the actual from a financial perspective, it's been a huge upliftment from the company's perspective, personally as well. It really has been it's been a really fruitful journey for me, and hopefully it carries on.
Yeah. So what difference has being coached by Francois made to you and your business? You mentioned about the financial, the financial impact. It was a massive uplift. What else? What other differences have you experienced being coached by me?
Well, we had no structures in place. We had no policies in place. We had no sort of systems in place in order to facilitate me stepping back from, being, for want of a better word, micromanaging. So I was very much involved in the business, in all aspects of the business. So from marketing, from operations. I mean, I was on the floor, I was in the warehouse. And I think at that time, I was probably approaching almost like a burnout. I was getting very frustrated because I wasn't able to carry or cover all the bases. And I think that the coaching at that point basically, gave me that insight and the tools to be able to put those systems in place. So it's allowed me to work a lot more from a strategic perspective on the business, as opposed to being, man on the floor type of thing. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. And I think once those systems were put in place, it's allowed us just to go from a level that we were just, like I said earlier, ceiling that, to break through those milestones that I mentioned earlier.
Okay. So tell me, what is it like being coached by Francois?
Challenging. There's the word, challenging. I think for me, being on my own, and I'd probably say for any business owners, whether you're in a partnership or, you're in sort of, you're in a team, it's hard to be on your own. You've got you haven't really got anybody to bounce things off. You haven't really got anybody to hold you accountable except for yourself. And I think that is probably the biggest thing, being coached by you, is that there's always we always in our discussions work through stuff that's challenging, but you hold me accountable for the lessons that I learn. Yeah. I mean, I'm a very avid reader, but what I've learned over the years with the coaching and that is that it's one thing learning, but unless you put the learnings into action, then it's worthless. It's completely worthless. And I think that's what I've learned the most, is that it's one thing saying I want to put things in place, but until it's actually done, it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And what is unique about coaching with Francois?
I think that your approach to the business owner and to the business is very unique. I think that you take a very different lens to it. You look at things differently. You also take a very objective perspective. The business and myself are as your client are the most important thing. And seeing those two entities, whether they one in the same, grow and get to the places that we want to get to, I think that is that's probably the most important thing, and the uniqueness of the way that you do that. I mean, you do hold me accountable, and you do challenge me all the time, and I think that's extremely important. I think if I felt like we were stagnating, then it wouldn't be holding value anymore.
Okay, great. You previously referred to COVID, and that affected you and the business, and so when you think about where you are now, how do you see the next 5 years? What is it that you've learned from this experience, in terms of business and life, and how do you think about your future? Let's say the next 5 years, 10 years.
Well, I think in ours, because we were hit so hard by it, we hit survival mode. I mean, it was literally a matter of surviving through the storm. But I think that in the coaching sessions that we've had through COVID, the talk has been more centered around thriving as opposed to surviving, which I really do hone in on. I mean, it is one thing to survive, but it's another thing to thrive coming through it. And I think that's been the most important thing for me coaching through COVID, is that you kept me focused. This is not an endless tunnel. There is going to be light at the end of this, and we're going to come through it. And how we come through it and on what footing we come through it, I think, is probably the most important thing. And for me, during COVID, I can quite honestly say that if there was any time that somebody would need coaching, it would be now. There's so many things that you need to stay focused on during these hard times, that if you lose that focus, you can really, really get bogged down. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it has been very difficult. I mean, that some of the conversations that we've had. But I think that for the better part of it, it's important to keep someone to keep you accountable and focused. Just one step in front of the other, as opposed to trying to run through it. So
I mean, things can change quite quickly, and I think one of the paradigms that was really shattered by most people is that nothing is really certain. I mean, and how you behave around uncertainty. And you mentioned about that importance of focus and someone to brainstorm with, to keep accountable, etc. So I really want to commend you also for your effort and that you put in, and how you manage your team during this difficult times. Because I mean, it is one thing, it affected all businesses, and some businesses more than other. Last year, 2019, I mean, you were the client of the year, and because of all the accomplishments, and then the next thing, 2020 came in April, and change everything, and how you navigate through the challenges. I think it is combining that with a roadmap is I think the way to go, and yeah, you've done that. Really want to commend you with always your positive attitude, because I think that is what also pulled you through. So in closure, Matt, I mean, there are a lot of businesses in different industries and the different stages of their business and life. You mentioned that you were 15 years in business when you started with coaching. What would you say to someone considering coaching with Francois?
Don't fence it. I'd say just do it. Don't concern yourself about the financial implications in that. I think that the coaching takes care of itself, and I think that the decision to take coaching is, from a business owner's perspective, I think is tantamount. I think it's part of business. I wish that I hadn't done it earlier, because I think that we would have had the systems in place a lot sooner, so we could have reaped the benefits a lot sooner. But I think with having looked back at the span of the 15 years, I mean, so probably from sort of year 13, 14 was really where we needed to step up a level. So I would, if someone said to me now, would you carry on coaching? What would you recommend coaching? Would you recommend Francois, for instance? I'd say absolutely 100%. And I think if this is the one time that I've needed a coach more than any other time, it has been through this difficult time. From a lot of perspectives, we're starting again, which has allowed us to take a step back, but it's also been beneficial because it's allowed us to relook at it's allowed us to drill down into the very core of the business and start those systems and those things, but put them back in place. So I don't think, and from a perspective of where the coaching will ever end, I don't think so. I think that it's an ongoing journey. I think it's something that me and you will hopefully will tread this path for a long time. So in closing, yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. Whether or not you coach or not, I'd say if anybody's been approached by you to coach, yeah. Definitely do.
Thank you for that, and I really appreciate it. I think you mentioned about the coaching journey and the business journey, and something that and you spoke about renewal, constant renewal, and something that I recall, like I don't know whether you'd remember, but it was I think 1 or 2 years ago, after one of the sessions that we had, clients got together, and after that day when we had some drinks. And networking with people, and you said to me, Francois, do you know when will I stop coaching? And I looked at you and I said, no, tell me. He said, the moment when I think I've outgrown you. And I also want to thank you for that, because I think it is also again emphasizing. I mean, I'm always someone that always improving myself, but there's always that next level, and I mean, it's like business and life, that always a next level, like a championship, but that again was for me a great reminder of the importance of constant business and personal renewal. So it was quite a profound statement that you made. Can you tell me more about that?
I think as well, with regards to that, what I've enjoyed so much about your coaching is that you're not on a pedestal, you're not infallible. You're going through this journey with your clients. So as you're learning, so the client's learning at the same time. And I mean, we've bumped heads. I mean, it happens. It's so nice to see the decisions that have been made. And I've bumped my head and I've come back to you and I said, you know, we tried this and it didn't work, but you've never been the person to sit there and go, well, I told you so. Or, you know, it's one of those journeys, I think, that the two of us have had to take together. And there's no right or wrong answer for any particular business. There's no playbook that you could write for every single business that is specific across the board. And I think that's what I've enjoyed quite a lot with the journey with you, is that it's been a learning experience for both of us. I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is a privilege working with you, Matt. And yeah, I mean, you are one of those guys with an absolute winning champion mindset, which makes a huge difference to business and personal results. So congratulations on how you approach it, and looking forward to work with you in future for many, many years.
Awesome. Thank you, Francois.
Thanks, Matt. Talk
Thank
again.
you.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.